never did a video segment on this when I was putting them together, but here are the port and starboard shells for a little girl. They're all glued up, ready to go. The one last thing I'm going to do before I do any staining or anything is get a piece of sawdust off there. On the door that I did for the cabinet, as a design feature, I ripped just a slot at about right about there, a little over 1/4 of an inch on the inside of the seam, and it made a really nice design feature. And I decided to carry that through on the edge of the shelf here, so that's what I'm going to do right now, is go ahead and just rip this one little groove in there, and once that's stained and varnished, it's going to look really nice, and it's going to blend right in with the door that's already there for the cabinet. So, all right, we're on to this one. I've already got this preset depth-wise and exactly the right amount of distance from the fence here, and so when I pass that down through, it should be dead on the mark for our little design feature groove. So that you didn't have to endure the noise, I went ahead and did it, and so there they are. It's all set to go. Everything needs to get sanded right now. What I'm going to do on this one, because the plywood is thicker, I had very little to sand down to match the bottom edge of this the trim with the plywood. This one over here, I think I'm going to get out my sander and take this down. I don't like the fact that that's up like that. I'm trying to make up my mind whether it makes a difference. This is going to be over on the port side, and where that sits, it may not make a bit of difference. I may just leave it. What I did, I keyed these. This mark right here is a key. That way, when I got ready to glue everything up, I made sure that lined up perfectly. The whole idea is that on this edge is following the outside of the electric box, and it's definitely has to go out beyond the edge of the plywood here in order to match that slant. So anyway, that's something I always do anytime I'm cutting a template and then cutting the wood that I'm going to be working with later is to key everything. All right, on to the next. I think what we're going to do is go ahead and everything's going to get sanded out. I'm in the workshop, a little bit warmer day out here, not freezing my tail off like I would normally do out here. Finally getting into quote-unquote spring weather here in Vermont. Well, I got right in the middle of trying to get started on staining this morning, and all of a sudden realized that the only can of red mahogany I had left was a little pint that was just about dried up, so I had to go buy another one. Sadly, Home Depot has quit selling Minwax. From what I can tell, what's going on is that they've bought into this line of stuff called Varathane, and that's fine and good if you like Varathane, but I'm kind of stuck on the colors that I'm always used to using, and mainly red mahogany, dark walnut. Those are the ones that I use a lot of in different things that I work on. And so I said, okay. I looked it up, and guess what? Walmart, not Home Depot. Home Depot with their Varathane, Walmart still sells good old Minwax. And so I went down and I got me some Minwax for probably about 2/3 the price of what it would have cost at Walmart back in the Home Depot back in the day. The other thing you can get at Walmart, lovely, is these foam brushes. Let me tell you something. These foam brushes, if you buy the almost identical, the ones at how should we say, at West Marine, they may be a little fancy looking. They're virtually identical in how they perform. They cost almost $3 a piece at West Marine. You go over to Walmart, you get the same thing for 57 cents. So I buy 8 or 10 of them at a time now. And, you know, whatever. I'm not going to pay good old West Marine prices if I can get the same thing and get the same usage. Okay, so here we go. Hopefully this stays going this time. I've been having a technical difficulty with my camera here. So anyway, got the port shelf done, and now we're on to starboard. Like at this point, these are probably going to have to dry overnight. With all Minwax products, you have to leave them for 8 hours after you put the stain on. That's after you put it on, and then let it sit for a while to absorb, and then wipe it off. As soon as you wipe it off, you've got 8 hours that you're supposed to let everything just sit before you can put any kind of a varnish on it. It's because the oils in it and ingredients in the stain stay kind of active, I guess, if you want to call it that. Anyway, so getting the second one all done up. Once this is done, everything gets to sit for a while. These are going to come out really nice. I'm looking forward to it. What my idea is on these, one of two things. Once the shelves go in, either I will anchor them in some way and create some cabinet fronts to come up underneath where they overhang on the boat. So actually the cabinet front will drop down to be able to access stuff in on the shelf. Or the other thing was possible, and a lot of sailors are doing this now, is using a netting. And the netting actually, stays so that you can see what's there, but the netting actually keeps everything in place while you're sailing. Doesn't allow things to come flying out when you are heeled over on a starboard tack or whatever. So anyway, that's one of the two ideas I've got, and we'll just kind of play it by ear. I've been looking into netting and how much it costs, and it's not that expensive. But I also like the idea of having cabinet fronts, and but that means a little more permanent of a construction job, shall we say. With the netting, you just put in a couple of hooks at the bottom and top, and put your netting in place, and it keeps, like I said, keeps everything from flying around. So anyway, but this is starboard I'm working on right now, and this one is the one that came out so great. I mean, there's virtually nothing I need to do to change on this. It came out so perfectly that everything just fits nice and flush up against the hull, and it just came out super. Port I'm going to have to work on, and I plan to actually, I didn't even bother to stain the back edge of it because I plan to do some more work trying to fit it to get it to fit more precisely against the hull liner. But anyway, okay, I think that's it. I'm going to flip this over and do the other side. You don't need to watch me doing it. And so I think we're just going to end right there for now. This will get 8 hours, and then we'll be back, and we're going to do some varnishing. Well, the shelves are all stained. Everything's all getting ready for some varnish. But at this point, from what I can tell, I probably can't put any on till 10 o'clock tonight. I'll probably push it. I may do one more wipe down at about 8 and go ahead and put some varnish on. A long time ago, one of the guys on the Seafarer website said that you should never use high gloss. Ironically, I've used high gloss all through the boat. But right now I'm kind of out of high gloss, so I've got some really nice expensive satin, and I'm probably going to use a satin on these. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, the point is they're done, and now we go into that waiting period where the stain has a chance to soak in and dry up to a certain extent. Like I said, 8 or 10 o'clock tonight, I'll probably get some varnish on these. Well, here we are with the second coat of varnish on. See, this would be the port shelf going in on the little girl. coming up nice. This is only, like I said, coat number 2. Let me go ahead and get the other one up here so you can see this. This is the starboard shelf. You see the difference here. I don't think anybody's going to notice on the boat, but you can see the difference here in the quality of the mahogany. This mahogany right here is from the new sheet that I bought, and it was fairly inexpensive. I got it shipped into Home Depot down here. This mahogany is really a superior grade of mahogany, and this is from the stuff that I bought last year. That I did all of the interior of the boat, and I paid big money for a big old 4x8 sheet of stuff over at my local wood supply place. I mean, these guys handle just superb quality materials, and I love it. I mean, I'm just really glad that this is the stuff that I put all through the boat. For these shelves, it doesn't bother me. I'm going to make use of all of the mahogany I bought with the new sheet, but you can see it's lighter color, less detail of the grain and so forth. I've got a big old scratch here. It's whatever. We'll hang on. Focus. We'll live with it. Anyway, just want to show you this. I'm going to turn this around right now, and this is that detail that I put in on the front edge. That I really like. This matches up with the detail on the big cabinet door that's underneath port countertop, and this is going to match up very nicely. I did this for both port and starboard on the shelves, and I think it's going to look really nice. Make everything kind of look like it matches up and belongs. All right, I think that's all I'm going to do for now, and time to get sanding and get another coat of varnish on. I'm not going to say much here, except that this time I've got to remember, I keep forgetting to do my edges. It's really important I seal these edges. And then other than that, I'm just going to work. Here on the starboard, this shelf is cut to perfection. I don't need to make any modifications to it. I am deliberately leaving the edges of the port shelf unsealed. I'll have to do them later because I have some modifications I want to make to have it fit better to the hull liner. You're probably not even going to see this, but I'll get back on screen in just a minute, and then we'll be up and running. Okay, now we can get the job done. Hold this. Try to get that varnish down that little groove. You don't want to overload it and have it come dripping out, but definitely want to have it filled so that it doesn't collect dust. There we go. Okay, now we are up and running. Now it's just normal flat work. I think everybody knows this, but anytime you're doing flat work where you're trying to lay down varnish and get a nice smooth even coat, especially as you approach your finish coat, really important you not drag it along fast. You do that, you're going to create bubbles. Those bubbles are going to show up, and it will not be a smooth surface, the smooth surface that you're looking for. And see, even though I'm laying down a little bit fast here, I'm going to go back over this, every bit of it, with a lot of very slow smoothing of the coat. Just 2 winters ago, I did all the interior on the boat, did all the cubby trim and all this kind of stuff, and the doors, and man, I'll tell you, I got so sick of this. Did a lot of it. Basically, the whole winter was taken up with just doing cutting and varnishing. And see, I'm seeing some bubbles right in here, so I'm going to back over that very gently, making that finish just lay right down without any bubbles in it whatsoever. And that's going to be it for that one. We are all set on the starboard shelf. I'm going to take this. I'm seeing another bubble. Get it this way. If you don't get perfection this time, you can always go back and do another coat, especially on gloss. Alright, with this one, this is with port. I'm just going to seal the ends that are not going to change. The back side of this, it's against the hull liner. I'm going to leave that open because changes are going to be made on it. So. When you're doing this kind of work, you want to make sure that, oh wow, look at the dust in there. Okay. If you got flat work, you lay down a lot of surface area, make sure that you've got a place that you can lay it to dry where it is absolutely flat. You know, that way you're going to minimize any possibility of drips flowing, forming, whatever. All right, that looks pretty good. I don't like that. I got to get some more varnish down in there. Okay, there we go. All right. After you cover an edge or a surface like this, check and make sure on the edge that adjoins it to make sure that you haven't left extra varnish that starts dripping down that surface. It's really good to kind of check yourself as you go along. It saves a whole lot of hassle later when you're trying to correct something that you overlooked while you were doing it. Love foam brushes. In marine work, when they're doing what's called rolling and tipping, which is doing painting a hull, they use a badger brush. They roll on the paint. This is for actually hulls, not so much. It's not for varnish work so much, but they roll on the paint. Okay, I think we can just lay this down now. They roll on the paint with a roller, fine roller, and they come along afterward with a badger brush, And apparently Badger here is very, very, well, I know it is. It's very soft, very supple. Leaves virtually no brush marks. It's just very fine. I don't know that I could even afford a Badger brush. But for a little girl, I've found that foam brushes are awesome. I think I did another segment where I mentioned this, and for me, I can get foam brushes at a very reasonable rate over at good old Walmart, and I make good use of them. After I'm done with one use on, particularly like when I was doing the staining, I used it one time. That's it, one time, just to get the stain on these, and I threw it away. At 57 cents a piece, it's worth it, not to have to hassle. Now, if I'm going to be working in between, in other words, I'm going to be doing multiple coats. Let me get this moved over just a little bit. Multiple coats. I use one of these. This is a plastic bag, just a little sandwich bag, not Ziploc. And when I'm all done, I'm going to stick that up in there and just wrap the whole thing around, and particularly wrap it around the handle afterward. And just leave it with something on top of it so that the wrap stays in place. The beauty of that is when you open that up later and you're in, where you're not spending a lot. It's not a lot of time lapse in between layers or coats. And with this stuff, I mean, if you wrap it up and just give it the time to dry, when you're ready to go with that next coat, you take it out of the bag and it's just as fresh as when you put it in. And you can just go ahead and make use of it several times before the foam starts hardening up and becomes unuseful. If it does, chuck it, because at 57 cents a piece, just grab another one and keep going with your varnish. Okay, guys, I think that's about it for this. I'll probably go over this once or twice more and check for bubbles, but I think we're looking good here. And thanks for stopping by Restoring Little Girl. And I think we're good for now. Next time you see these, you're going to be going on to Little Girl and get a chance to see what they look like. Anyway, proud of these. I love them. This is, this is probably not something anybody else would have done. It was kind of my own design to create shelves where there were no shelves. But that's also part of doing renovations on a boat. You look for opportunities where there's a particular space that seems to be not used well, and you design something to go into that space that does make use of it. So anyway, thanks for stopping by.